What's up guys, welcome back to LeadFoot TV. So today I'm going to finally do some work on my R32 Skyline.
Finally!
We're going to be changing the oil on it and in it.
Well wicked, innit, bruv?
Don't know. Changing the oil in it. I've got a HKS oil filter to go on, which has been sat on the shelf for almost a year now. So when I bought the car 5 years ago, it had just had a head gasket done on it. It had been freshly imported from Japan. The guy that imported it had it sat in his garage for about 6 months, and he discovered that the head gasket had gone on it when he got it. So it had a new head gasket, a new timing belt, and the oil had been changed at that time. That was 5 years ago. I haven't changed the oil since. It sounds like a really long time, but it hasn't done that many miles because it was sat in the garage for 3 of the 5 years I've owned it. It's maybe only done 1,000, 1,500 miles tops, and yeah, I only drive it like when I'm going to car meets or stuff like that. I don't really drive it on a daily basis, so it hasn't done a lot of miles, but nevertheless the oil is very, very old. So we're going to change the oil in it today. I've got this HKS oil filter to go in there and some fresh oil, so let's get to it and drop the oil out and get this filter off. So since modifying the car, I've made it very impractical for jacking it up. The skirts hang super low, the front GTR lip is miles lower than it was, and obviously I've lowered it as well, so jacking it up is a bit of a pain in the arse now. The way I do it, I've had to do it, is jack this side up with the low profile jack, just enough to get this jack under the front. The reason I don't just keep jacking up on the front is because on all Skylines, even when they're completely clean and not rotten like this one is, they do fold. The jacking points just fold on them just because the metal's crap and they're not very well made. So I jack a little bit of weight off on that, but I don't go all the way up. Then get this jack under the front. There's like a loop towing eye underneath. So I get that jack under, and then I take that jack out and move it around to here. So I've got 2 jacks holding the front up now. I'm going to slide a tyre or 2 underneath just in case if it does drop for whatever reason. I don't think it will while it's on 2 jacks, but for whatever reason it'll stop on the tyres before it crushes my head. So we're going to go underneath and drop the oil out. One cool method, if you don't have a tub, is get an old oil container, or you could use like an old screen wash tub like this one, and just get a Stanley knife or a pair of scissors and just cut the side out of it, and you can use it as an oil tray. And it's very good because it actually means that you can pour it out into a bigger container if you've got like a 25-litre drum, so save you having to go to the tip every time you've drained your oil. So yeah, you can unscrew the top and actually pour it into a barrel, which is very, very handy. So nice little tip if you're ever wanting an oil draining container.
That's the coolest fucking story I've ever heard in my entire life. That's insane. Can I hear it again? Do you have time?
So we've just got a 14mm sump plug, so just get a 14mm spanner, crack it off. Probably want it that way around, and then just undo that. And then we'll leave that to drain for like 10 minutes or so. Just we'll keep checking it and make sure it just isn't going to overfill. If it does, I've got a spare one cut and made already. So next up, while the oil is draining out the bottom, I'm going to get the oil filter out. I'm going to use these plumber's grips. Come and get it, lizard breath! I just use these because I find it easier than using an oil filter wrench. You can use an oil filter wrench or a strap or whatever you want. I've just always used these just because I'm a little bit lazy and they're dead easy to use. So the oil filter is right down the side here. It is under there. I'll get a light on it in a second so you can see where it is. It is under there. There's an engine mount there as well next to it, and while I was looking down there I found a 10mm socket.
I found the treasure! I found the treasure!
Which is from my old work, and I haven't done any work on my car there for well over a year, so that's done well to stay in the engine bay for a whole year. So yeah, I've got an additional 10mm socket now. So yeah, let's get the oil filter out. I'll try and get some light down there so you can see what I'm doing. So I've cracked the oil filter off. You can see it. So that is the intake manifold, and just underneath, there's no point in me really filming it because you won't be able to see what I'm doing. But the oil filter is there, that big black block right in the middle. So I used these plumber's grips to crack it off, and it was tight as hell. Obviously the oil filter hasn't been off in 5 years, so it is very, very tight. Probably would have actually been easier for once with an oil filter wrench, but I have no idea where mine is because I haven't used it in so long. So we'll just wind that off by hand. It's very, very little access down there, so it's probably just going to end up absolutely everywhere, but we'll see what we can do. The access down here is absolutely pants. I'm not sure it's actually going to come out the top. It does come out the top just. It was very, very snug in there. So that is the old oil filter. You can see I've crushed it quite a bit getting it off because it was stupid tight. So let's get the HKS one unboxed and get that on. You can see there as well, the oil is very, very black. Although it hasn't done many miles, it has been sat for a long time. So it looks a little bit scabby. One thing I forgot to mention is just make sure this black rubber seal, this one here, comes off with your oil filter, because if it sticks on the block and then you put another oil filter on, it won't seal properly and it'll leak oil everywhere. So just make sure that that rubber seal has come off with the oil filter. It does 90% of the time, but the odd time it will stick to the block, and yeah, you'll notice when you start it up because oil will just go absolutely everywhere. So let's get this one in. As you can see, it's 10 times easier to get in, and down there, I think I'll probably just have to do it by feel because I can't see a thing. So we just wind the oil filter back on, and it just needs to be hand tight. So just, yeah, wind it back on and then just give it a nip up with your hands. It doesn't have to be super tight, but just tight enough to seal. So that is the oil filter back in. Like I said, it just needs to be hand tight. Just get it as tight as you can with your hands, and that'll be more than enough. And then now we're going to go back under, stick the sump plug back in, then we can drop the jacks back down and put the car back on the ground, and we can top the oil up. Obviously the car needs to be on a nice flat surface to check the oil, so we'll get it off the jacks to do that. Just chucking the oil sump plug back in, and it looks like the washer was changed last time. It looks very, very clean, so I haven't bothered putting a new one on it. I think next time I change the oil, I'll buy a magnetic sump plug for it. I just forgot to buy it this time round. So just tighten that up, and then we're good to go. So we've got the sump plug back in, nice and tight, oil filters back on. Let's get it dropped back down on the ground, get it sitting nice and level, and then we'll chuck some oil in it. So oil there, you can see, is just above the minimum mark. Obviously we still have to run it as well, so the filter will fill up. Obviously it's a much smaller filter than before, so it shouldn't take too much oil, but yeah, we'll put a tiny little bit more in there, and then we'll fire it up and run it through and then check it again. Then we'll fire it up. It takes a while to start this car when it's been sat for a while. All looks good, doesn't seem to be leaking. So now that we've run it for a few minutes, we'll just dip the oil one more time and just see how far off it is. Looking at the bottle, I would say we're on about 4.5 litres. Yeah, that is bang on the top mark there. I don't know how I've done that, it's just a lucky guess. But yeah, bang on 4.5 litres. So we don't need to put any more oil in there, that is spot on. There's no leaks, so I'm happy with that. So that is the oil all done on my R32. The reason I haven't done a full service was because I'm going to get a different air filter for it, so I'm not going to bother replacing the element in it now. And I will do a fuel filter on it again at some point. I just haven't ordered one up. So I've got loads of other stuff to do on this car. Like I said, I just lost a bit of motivation on it because I pretty much just worked on it a year straight, nights after work, to get it to the point it's at now, and I just wanted to enjoy it for a while. So I drove it for a year, but now I just need to get my motivation back and start doing it again. I have got a lot of parts at the back of the garage that need to go on. So we've got a big old front mount intercooler to go on, all the pipe work to go with it. Then we've got my Impul steering wheel, the horn button smashed to bits in the garage, so I need to get a new horn button made up for it or repair that one. But yeah, I've got my Impul steering wheel to go on, which was in my R33 4-door. So I just need to get a hub adapter to put that into the Skyline, which I'm really excited about because I think I just love this steering wheel. It's so sick. And then we've got some front adjustable camber arms, which need to... they're not essential. I bought them because they were on sale. So yeah, I have had these for, God, like 2 or 3 years now. So I need to get the motivation to get these on as well. And then it does need a few little bits and pieces for the MOT. I think last time it went for its MOT, it had an advisory for the rear lower control arms, which it shouldn't have really been an advisory. They were absolutely knackered. So I need to get them on before it goes for MOT in the next month or so. So yeah, I've got that. I need to get a new number plate for the back as well because it cracked in half while it was in storage. So it's super glued together at the moment, which is not ideal. But there's loads of little bits and pieces that I want to do to it. So hopefully the Skyline will make a bit more of an appearance on the channel from now on. I just need to get on with it and do it. At the moment, I've got the gearbox. The manual gearbox for it is away at Grinspeed to get rebuilt. Unfortunately, it's not very good news. It needs synchros, which isn't a problem because you can buy full synchro kits, but the 3rd to 4th gear shifter selector fork is absolutely knackered, and I cannot find one for the life of me without buying another gearbox. So I may have to buy another gearbox for an R32, or we may go down the road of salvaging a gearbox out of one of these. Not this one, because this one is actually going to go back on the road. But yeah, you can buy a kit to use the 350Z box in the R32 GTST. So yeah, that may be the route that I go with getting an 350Z box, putting it into the 32. But yeah, loads of stuff to do. Hopefully you enjoyed the first video in a while on the R32. I know it wasn't anything too extensive, but it's a start, and I promise I will try and get some more progress made on it soon. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like, and I will leave a playlist to all the other R32 videos here if you want to check them out, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace out.